do writing these songs and then afterwards thinking about them, reflecting on them, do they help in a cathartic sense then?
Yeah, I mean, you know, to answer your question from earlier, I think like what has music always done, I mean, it's always been, it's given me a kind of a place of belonging, you know, and it's always been very therapeutic in that sense, you know, where it was like, it was the place where I could go to, you know, be as close as I possibly could get to my own essence. And with that, there's a lot of, you know, looking inwards that happens, and a lot of, you know, soul searching, and I just feel so lucky that I have that channel to do that, you know. But on the other hand, I mean, you're kind of like in this constant, or at least that's how I experience it. Like, it's very confrontational, you know, and you just kind of exist in that world of observing the exterior and, you know, giving it a place in terms of how it reflects to yourself as well. And but yeah, so it's a constant like kind of self-study in a way, you know.
What is one thing that you discovered about yourself then in the process of making this album?
You know, I mean, this album to me, and the whole process was essentially so much about kind of the art of being completely open, and the exercise of that as well, you know, of letting go of the control. And I think, again, this is where like our brains, from like this like intellectual need, we always like have the desire to control everything because we're so fucking scared of everything that we can't control, of everything that is unanswered, or is like all the unknown is like the things that we are the most fearful of as a species, you know. And so this album for me was such an exciting kind of leap in absolute openness, and just allowing the things to happen exactly as they were happening, and really just learning how to let go of that control. And so I mean, I feel like that's really a lifelong journey, you know, and kind of allowing chance and to take place, and allowing change to take place constantly, you know. And I think that's going to be a lifelong study, at least for me personally. And this album was very much like, I feel like kind of like the starting point of just like, wow, just opening up the whole palette and just kind of like, yeah, letting things go, you know.
Was there a turning point where you had this realization then, that maybe on your debut record, if you look back on it, you weren't as open as maybe you...
I mean, it felt, honestly, it felt just like very kind of, I think it was just instinctively went there. Like, I think because of the first record, you know, I had been living with these songs for so long that I was just so in need to give these songs a home, you know? So that was like, I was like fixated on that. I mean, that was like the purpose of like, you know, all I want is to just give this you know, this body of work a place where it can exist, you know, these songs. So that was a very kind of clear motive and direction. Yeah. With the second album, you know, it was like, it was liberating in a way because I hadn't been living with the songs for that long. So I also wasn't able to like, so I think just instinctively, that was like the relationship that I had with the music was like, I just have to, you know, let them flourish in their own time, and really just be as present as I possibly can within the process, but mostly serving the music. and I feel like the you know, it's a really exciting, to me, what I'm so fascinated by is like the power of our intuitive nature. But I think to really tap into our intuition, you have to be really open, you know. So that just seemed really obvious to me kind of early on in the process. Like once I stopped touring the last record, the first record, I was so hungry to start working on a new, you know, album. And intuitively, I think I just felt that like, okay, this is just learning how to let go and just open up the channels completely, you know.
Was that a difficult thing to do at first?
I mean, it goes with ups and downs, you know. I mean, it's very much like an ebb and flow, I think. And I mean, this is where, to me, it's all so connected, you know. I mean, I'm talking specifically about, you know, the creative outlet. But to me, it's like when I look around, it's the way that nature works, you know, it's completely the same, you know. And when I look at, you know, say the ocean, just, I mean, the simple, you know, metaphor of how water moves, you know, and like just, again, the ebb and flows is like, that to me is exactly how the creative outlets go as well. You know, sometimes sometimes there's like these like waves of, you know, and sometimes they can be quite violent and aggressive. Other times they're very serene and harmonious, and yeah, that's just how I observe my creative kind of flow, how it works as well. You know, it's like there's not it's not a linear experience. There's a lot of different kind of colors and shades that come to it, and sometimes it's, you know, it goes really smoothly, and sometimes it doesn't. You know, so.
Finally, then, the album title, Porta Bohemica.
Yeah.
When did it pop up in your mind?
It was a title, I had seen it somewhere years ago, and I just was really fascinated by that title. It kind of like, it really sparked something in my imagination, and it just seemed, you know, obviously like the port and the bohemian part was clearly something that I could relate to, obviously, and but it also just like, it almost to me seemed like a great title for like a, you know, I don't know, some like sci-fi cult film or something, and I was like, that's a cool title, and it kind of just stuck with me for years. And then as I was recording the record, I looked it up, what it meant, like what does this actually stand for, and then found on Wikipedia, which is, you know, as irrelevant as it can be sometimes, that it was basically like this, kind of like this abandoned train line, that only existed for several years, and it was quite short. And like, so it's not so much about like where that train line was geographically as the metaphor of this like kind of abandoned train line that was like that kind of had this like, you know, it wasn't, yeah, I mean, I just thought like if I was at a train, if I like landed in some like unknown train station, if like, you know, and saw the train Porta Bohemica, I would jump on that train right away. I would just be like, that seems like the destination where I want to go. And so then, you know, I just thought I related it to the process of this record as being a total journey as well, but like an unknown journey, you know, of like, okay, I'm jumping, you know, I'm here at the station, I'm gonna get on that train, and I have no idea where I'm gonna land, you know, and so that's just like kind of, you know, the metaphor to the actual process of the record that I just, you know, just triggered something in my imagination that I enjoyed. So
now that you've had a bit of separation between finishing the album, do you have a sense of having arrived somewhere, or?
Yeah, I mean, now it's funny, you know, I mean, I don't, I mostly feel like I've arrived at at a new kind of spot of certain realizations of where I want to go with the next record. That's kind of, you know, I mean, that's really the only purpose that albums serve for me as well. You know, like I don't listen to my own music back once it's finished. You know, really the purpose of them to me is just like that they're platforms of, they're studies, you know, they're just studies of where you're at that given time. And so the landing point, the destination, or like, you know, there is no real destination. I think the only destination is just to continue to evolve and grow, you know? And, but if you had a very clear idea of what that destination was, then I think you're kind of confining the abilities of growth, you know? So to me, I don't want to, there's no limit to growth, you know? So I just feel like I just want to grow as much as I possibly can until the day I die, basically, you know? And making albums is just a constant palette of exploring what that growth means. So in terms of, you know, where the album kind of landed, it just mostly to me is kind of like clear. It gives me a sense of clarity of what I need to do in the next chapter. So
Thank you very much for your time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.